Welcome to the Philip Koerper Show. I'm Philip Koerper, and this is episode 111. This is January 14th, 2020. Had a friend who really enjoyed our first podcast where I was trying to imitate Donald Trump and the winning, and we're going to keep on winning. We're going to keep on winning. We're going to win on healthcare. We're going to win on taxes. We're going to win on immigration. We're going to win on jobs. And you might say that you're tired of winning, Donald, but we're going to keep on winning. Oh, Donald's just so great. And this football game last night, the national championship at the Superdome, LSU versus the losing team. Oh, I'm blanking on their names now. I can't. Clemson. And when Donald Trump was announced and he came out on the field with Melania had this really nice coat on, the fans went crazy. It was Clemson was the other team. Is that what I said? LSU and Clemson. LSU won. This national championship game. It was truly amazing. The cheers from the crowd, just unbelievably loud. They started chanting USA, USA. Oh, it was wonderful. It was like a Donald Trump rally. Someone at work asked me today, how many rallies have you been to, Dr. Koerper? I said 3. I've been to 3 Trump rallies. Excellent. Louisville, Charleston, and Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. Anyhow, just truly amazing. Gives me goosebumps. The support and fans. It's just it's amazing. The reason why we have to make a big deal about this, because if there are a few boos in the crowd, sometimes the media will just say, "Oh, they're booing Donald. He's terrible." And so we just have to. This is one reason why we make a big deal about this support for Donald, because the media just keeps throwing a wet blanket over it and tries to convince us that Donald Trump is the great Satan and that everyone hates his guts. It's truly amazing. I have a good friend at work, and she hates Donald Trump with every fiber of her body, hates him more than life itself. And yet she says she's a Republican and stuff. I'm curious to see who she votes for, if she votes at all, this November. It'll be interesting to see, because really politics is so binary. It's so binary. We've got pretty much a 2-party system in this country. And, you kind of have to decide which party you're going to join. Where are your values? What issues are really important to you? And we've got a lot of, in the Republican Party, we've got some, one-issue voters. We've got the pro-life group. We've got the Second Amendment folks. We've got the low taxes folks. We do have some one-issue voters. I don't think I'm a one-issue voter. I think my top issues is, small government, low taxes, unintrusive government. Really, I want that. Government, stay out of our lives kind of government. But I'm also very pro-life and hugely pro-speech, and therefore pro-Second Amendment. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. And so very, very important. And a strong foreign policy. And so I love this, Donald Trump at the national championship game. It's amazing. He's got time, to go to the football games and stuff. Or Nancy says she can't go because she's saving the world. It's interesting. Whose job is more important? Well, who gets paid more? Well, Donald gets paid $400,000 a year, and he donates his salary to charities. And she gets paid like $178 a year, and was probably some Speaker of the House bonus thing. But anyhow, just truly amazing. So breaking news here, Cocaine Mitch, Senator Mitch McConnell, one of my Kentucky senators, just came out and says, he's tweeted, "We've reached a simple contradiction. The House case cannot be so robust that it was enough to rush into impeachment and enough for Senate Democrats to start prejudging guilt, but also so weak that they need the Senate to go fishing. These stories cannot both be true." I really think that momentum is gaining in the Senate and as I mentioned yesterday in the podcast, to just to vote out these impeachment, the 2 articles of impeachment. They're so ridiculous. Abuse of power and then obstructing Congress. I mean, both of these charges are just, there's no proof, and they're completely ridiculous, and they're not impeachable offenses. Obstructing Congress, I mean, that's what Donald Trump is supposed to do as President of the United States. He needs to defend the Article 2 powers that he has. So that's just totally ridiculous. And so I think this is worthwhile. I would love to see the Senate just go ahead and have a vote. And if they have enough votes, then he's acquitted. It's done. And this sham impeachment is over. It's done. Let's treat it as the joke that it is, because it's a complete joke. So I've been talking to my friends about Baltimore. Baltimore is just unbelievable. The murder rate in Baltimore now is like 10 times the national average. And then there's this breaking story from Breitbart News. 4 individuals shot and killed while a 5th was stabbed to death in Philadelphia during a 12-hour time period, which ended. I mean, these big cities, what is going on? Why is Baltimore such a death trap? Why are people just killing each other in Baltimore? Why is the murder rate so high? Well, some people say, well, it's because they're so poor. The people are so poor in these inner cities. And we just need to give them more money and then they won't kill each other. Well, it's interesting to note that the poverty rate of Baltimore is like 24% of the people, or 23% of the people are below the poverty line. Well, let's pick Huntington, West Virginia, not a city too far from me. Working down here in Pikeville, Kentucky. Huntington, West Virginia being one of the poorest states in the Union. Huntington, West Virginia. Oh, guess what? There's people living below the poverty line, 1% higher than the people in Baltimore. Okay, and what do you think their murder rate? It's like 3 out of every 100,000. It's way lower than like the 50 out of 100,000 of Baltimore. Way less than 10 times less. So this is fake news. This throwing money at these problems. It's amazing, these articles about these homicides, they really never discuss why. Why is the murder rate so high? Well, most people who are honest about it will say, the culture of these families, of these people, of these young men who do all of this murdering, these young men, mostly black men, but these young men in these inner cities, they're killing each other. Well, culturally, their families are just non-existent. They're growing up without fathers in the home, and they quickly turn to crime. It's very sad. It's very sad. And let's not get into the academics of these families. And the science and reading scores of Detroit are like, I forgot what the statistic was. Tucker Carlson said it like last year or 2 years ago. Like the reading rate is like at 0 to 5%, and the math rate 0 to 5%, like ninth grader kids in the Detroit public schools. It's terrible. This culture, no one believes that these people these young men can't succeed like anyone else in this country. There are like 7 million jobs available in the United States right now. Companies cannot find the workers. Unemployment rate of Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, all Americans are at incredible lows right now. It's an incredible Trump economy. So this inner city crime thing. And so one solution is what we did and Rudy Giuliani did in New York City. You just, culturally, you try to strengthen these families the best you can. Unfortunately, we've got welfare that substitutes as fathers for these kids. So these kids can grow up, and these moms the father of these kids is just the government. That's who's paying the moms and to have these children. This is the inner city problem that we have. Well, so government encourages this fatherless type of culture, And then what Rudy Giuliani did in New York City, totally cleaned it up. Well, you just throw these people in jail. Yeah, search and frisk. Frisk and search. Just throw them in jail. So people who commit crime, you throw them in jail. Oh, guess what? Crime rate goes down. We know how this works. So anyhow, we just have to address this problem. And we need to really look at the core of the problem, and that's the breakdown of the home and the breakdown of the family. The government's not very good at supporting that. I love this tweet from Debbie D'Souza. This is, I think, the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza, or wife. I can't remember which one. Oh, Nancy Pelosi tweeted 2 hours ago, American elections should be decided by the American people, not by the Russian government. Retweet if you agree. I mean, what fake news, okay? We know that the Russians had very little to do with our elections in 2016. This myth, this lie that President Trump is an illegitimate president. I mean, Ilhan Omar, odious Omar, she loves to call Donald Trump the occupant of the White House. She never calls him the president of the United States. Oh, she's so terrible. No, the leftists say that Donald Trump is not a legitimate president because the Russians interfered with our election. And if the Russians wouldn't have got involved, HRC would be president right now. This is complete lie. Complete lie. So I love what Debbie D'Souza replies to Nancy's tweet. She says, presidential elections should not be decided by the losing party that happens to control the House of Representatives. Retweet if you agree. Yeah. The House of Representatives is just controlled by the Californians. Nancy Pelosi's from California. Adam Schiff is from California. And I can't remember what Nadler is from. I can't remember. I don't think California. But yeah, it's either New York or California. Chuck Schumer, a New Yorker. Well, Donald Trump's a New Yorker. But his residence now is, yes, Florida. I love it. Hey, a fun fact about Florida and New York is that Florida now is a more populous state. There are more people that live in Florida than New York now, the state of New York. Well, guess what the government spending in each state is? Well, Florida, it's around $75 billion a year the government spends. Uses that tax money, $75 billion. Okay, so they probably bring in about $75 billion from Floridians, but there's federal money, so, whatever. And New York, guess what? Fewer people live in New York, and I forgot what the numbers were, 150 million people or something. I can't remember. But guess what? They don't spend $75 billion. Oh, guess what? What do you think? They spend more or less than Florida, the state of Florida. The state of New York spends double, like $150 billion a year. Oh my, government services galore. So where do you want to live? Look at the taxes are just outrageous in New York because of all the freaking government spending. Outrageous. Oh, I don't want the government spending all that money. I'd rather have the people spend the money. I can't stand that. I love this tweet of Michael Waltz, representative. And, what's going on in Iran right now. I mean, the protests going on in Iran are just really impressive. They paint the American flag and Israeli flag on the ground. And then the people just step on it and probably spit on it. Who knows? I've seen this. The little kids go into elementary school. And as they enter school, there's an American flag on the ground, like painted on the floor, and an Israeli flag, and then they stomp on these flags. I mean, this is what they train their kids. Well, you see all these people coming out of these buildings, and these flags are right in the way, so it's very hard not to step on them. Almost everyone coming out of these buildings or marching down the street, they hop out of the way and go and completely around, squeeze around these flags painted on the ground, just to show their support of Israel and America. There's great opposition on Fox News today. Two people from Iran were talking about, the how unhappy the Iranian people are with the government there, the lack of freedom. And Soleimani killed 1,500 people, reported the New York Times early December, and those were protesters. Some people think the numbers are way higher than that. So incredible. incredible support. So I love how Donald is reaching out to these people. Hopefully, and Donald's not asking for a regime change, but wouldn't it be great if Iran could get out from the thumb of the Ayatollah and this very repressive regime that controls Iran. And the last article I wanted to cover was this Vince Vaughn thing. I mean, this was funny. At the football game Donald and Melania were at last night, the Clemson LSU game, Vince Vaughn was up in the box and shaking his hand, Donald's hand and stuff, and talking. Vince Vaughn is an actor, conservative actor. Oh, and so leftists, were reposting the video of him talking to Donald, and they want to just totally censor Vince Vaughn and go after him and punish him for being friends with the president. I mean, that kind of stuff is so disgusting and ridiculous. Oh, anyhow, thank you guys so much for listening. I wanted to close with a scripture from the Book of Mormon, Mosiah 2:17. And behold, I tell you these things that you may learn wisdom, that you may learn that when you are in the service of your fellow beings, you are only in the service of your God. Oh, I love the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I love how it teaches us to be in the service of others. One reason why I really love this podcast is I love this country so much. And so any little thing that I can do to share my thoughts about the country and the opinions that I have to try to make this country better and freer for everyone. Oh, I love the United States. I am so grateful for being born and raised in this country. I love being around others who are from other countries and born in other countries and their freedoms. I have a great friend at work, and he was born in Taiwan. And, he is enjoying such great freedoms here in the United States. I mean, that is such a huge blessing. And by the way, it's amazing, the woman in Taiwan who wasn't very popular was reelected, and he was so excited to tell me about this. And she's been more of a supporter of the West than Donald Trump. And the guy who tried to overthrow her was friends with the mainland Chinese Communist Party there. And so it's great to see these victories all across the world for more free governments and for more conservative governments. That is so great. This is the Philip Koerper Show. I'm Philip Koerper. Please subscribe at iTunes under the Philip Koerper Show. Or you can go to my webpage, philkoerper.com. Or you may watch the Philip Koerper Show on YouTube. You guys, thank you so much for listening and have a great day. Take care.